Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dave. I'm going to do the weekly review, market analysis, get prepped for the week. Um, let's get to it. I already prepped everything out most of the time, so I'm just going to run through this um, and just kind of give my thoughts on it. So, firstly, I already have everything organized by position 5 days, right? So, where did everything close basically this past week? So, I'm going to get organized there. But per usual, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the SPY. Um, Looking at it, there's the fear index is pretty high at the moment. There's been a lot of selling over the past couple of weeks, a lot of talk of selling over the past couple of weeks. However, if you just look at the weekly charts, I don't think things are as scary as I am seeing, like especially over the X. Um, so if we zoom in, you can see that here's this consolidation here, okay, at the highs of 565-ish. We broke out, we came back down, retested it, pushed higher. Now last week I was saying, if we lose this 580-ish low, undercut it, stay below it, accept below it, then I'd be like, maybe we are going to start downtrending. Potentially, I don't know. We haven't really lost that low just yet. Prices hanging out underneath the 10 EMA, sorry. That's an EMA on here. And we're kind of at the 20 EMA at the moment. We are near this trend line that I'm trying to, this has no weight to it. I'm just going to take it out. We have an inclining 50 and an inclining 200. Now, what I was looking at is if we lose this 580, maybe we come down to 565 and retest these prior all-time highs. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. It's healthy for a market to sell off, find its bid, build a new base, so it can continue on higher. Michael Noss, if you don't follow him, you should. He sent out a nice reminder of everything is kind of acting quote unquote normally, right? And I try to mimic what he did. This is not my original idea. Basically, what he did though, and it kind of made me think, like, well, if we zoom out back to January 22 at these highs, and then all the way down to October of 22, there was about a 27% decline, right? Then we turned a corner and started trending upwards. We had this in September-ish of August through October of 23. Here we had a 10% decline, which is pretty typical as well. I'm pretty sure like stats are there's at least 10% decline in price per year of a bull market, something like that. And then here, back in March of 24 to this pullback of April of 24, there's a 5% decrease, testing basically this breakout area. From the highs here to the lows here in August, this was another 10% decrease. And then, now we're looking at these highs here. Here's those highs right there. Now we're looking at about a 5% decrease right now. And so it's not, I don't know, even if, what did I do? I deleted it. Let's just say even if we went from these highs and retested all the way back down here to these prior highs, that's only a 7% decrease. I'd say, it's pretty healthy for the market to do that. Now, will it start downtrending? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of what could potentially come. Now, what could potentially come is this 580 level. It breaks, and we get down, we get a little bounce, we get a retest and a rejection, and then we test here. And maybe we get a little chop, and then it starts trending back up that way. I don't know. Or what we could do is it tests here, it gets rejected lower at this 580 level, and I can see it bouncing, and then opposite end of target would be here at this 600 again. If it wants to break that, then retest it and it holds, then we might be off to the races. Who knows? Those are, or it could just continue to keep chopping sideways over the next few weeks, days. I don't know. Stop. So it just might chop, it might bounce, and things are they're kind of in the air overall, but I don't think it's super scary. If you're going all out, maybe it would be, but overall, I don't know. This is kind of how I see things. It seems like normal price action to me. Even if we look at the Qs here, we can go back down. Qs right now are retesting these highs. Whether it holds or not, I don't know. If it wants to break down further, maybe we get a test of that 480 level there. If we go the Dow, it's kind of retesting these prior highs here. So you can see that we're in the general markets, we're getting a lot of retests right now, selling off some distribution, some profit taking from these larger moves. And we're getting a retest of these areas. So I don't necessarily see, my alarms aren't going off. We do have CPI and PPI this week. I think it was Monday here. PPI on the 14th and then CPI on the 15th. So Tuesday and Wednesday. So be mindful of that coming up. All right, let's get to other charts here. Gold, you can see that weekly came pretty good, had some nice volume on the weekly, and we're pushing. However, it is just kind of in this range, so I can see it chopping around here. I don't trade gold very much. I just like to keep an eye on it, and I just like to look at charts. So it's kind of in that range right there, bouncing around. It would have to break higher, retest, and continue on higher. The only thing is I don't like how choppy the dailies are, so that's why I don't really trade it. I just look at it's just gappy. Gappy, I think is the right word, not necessarily choppy. It's kind of choppy too, but whatever. So I don't trade it very much. UNG has been an interesting one. It kind of has a rounding bottom here, sold off heavily the week prior last week. And then last week was an inside week. Nice bottoming tail, green, higher, increasing volume. It has a nice rounding bottom here. So natural gases might be interesting names to look into, or maybe that theme to look into. Let's go XLE energy. You can see I kind of had a downtrend line here. I don't know. I don't like it anymore. I'm going to delete it. Maybe this uptrend line here. I'll see how it respects if it loads properly. It's mostly respecting that. Maybe we get a little bounce here. Overall, it's been pretty choppy as well. I don't trade a lot of energy names. Healthcare still downtrending, hitting the 200 SMA. However, it is kind of hitting. If we want to zoom out a little bit further, look at this 137 level. Hit 1, failed 2, failed 3, failed 4, 5, 6, 6-ish times. So it is at an interesting spot. However, with how much selling it's been, I would expect some chop. Let these EMAs catch up. Let a cost basis build for the bigger players, and then maybe they'll turn it around. I don't think I would feel like I'm bottom fishing at that point. XLU, looking interesting. You can see that it just kind of, here's the highs here. Failed to hold those highs at the 77. And now we have a bearish engulfing candle of last week. It is on volume. Overall, though, it is still in range. So another range look. XLI retesting these highs here. Bearish engulfing on volume. XLB selling off. I'm not very interested in that kind of look here. Maybe, I don't know if there's an uptrend line it's trying to create in respect. Potentially, maybe do that. We'll see though. I'm not calling anything. XLY breaking the highs. We're getting some selling. I would be interested, around 214 in names that are in consumer discretionary here. QSpy already did it. XLK looking at the highs, so we're getting some selling here at the highs again, which I'm not shocked about it. Ideally, we would have consolidated, and this green bar, may have undercut that bar, and then we had a continuation of last week to break out of this kind of like flag to the 20 EMA, but that obviously did not happen. So we get a nice bearish engulfing candle at these prior highs. I don't know, maybe 222 is next for these guys. Maybe it's going to target that so maybe 212-ish. We shall see. I would really look and keep an eye on, at least what I'm going to do, is I'm going to keep an eye on that 222 level first, and see what happens from there. Because if there's a lot of individuals using that as a swing low and price breaks that, you'll get more supply out of all these trapped longs here. They're all underwater. They're not trapped. They're underwater. XLP, this is just selling off. That's, if you try and catch that, you're going to get your hands bloody, in my opinion. You do what you want. RSP, so overall equally weighted S&P 500, coming back. Looks like it wants to retest this 170 level. Everything is trending down. However, we do have an uptrending 50 SMA. That is what I wouldn't mind a little test of this 170 area, some chop side to side, and then we curl on back up. XLC Communications still respecting the 20 EMA. This might have a little bit more room to pull back. What I'm going to watch first is that right there. This big old green bar. I'm gonna basically watch for the base of that at the 92 level. See if that wants to hold. Already went over. Oh, I forgot the good old Russell. This whippy thing. I got a lot of levels on here. Sorry. But either way, you can see it tested this consolidation 208. See this chop here. This 208 210 level had been prior resistance multiple times. There's one back here. I'm not going to mess with the zoom too much. It broke out of that, failed, hit prior resistance up here. If I want to zoom out there, hit that there. Okay, came back down into that zone, held that 198 again, and then popped back up and then retested that 208 210 level. So it's getting back. It might come back down to that 208 210 level. We shall see. Let's go real estate. It's kind of failing, holding those prior highs here. It kind of looked like a reverse head and shoulder. Right shoulder is indeed higher than the left. And then here's the head. That would be the neckline, but it's failing the retest as of right now of the neckline. So I would also be feeling I'd be trying to catch a falling knife if I were to try and buy that. XLF looks pretty strong overall. It is at the 20 EMA. It did hold that. Came close here back in April 24. Respected it back on 6/17/24, and then August of 24 as well. So we'll see if it wants to respect it again. I don't know. Otherwise, I do have this consolidation level of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of 45. I can see it maybe testing that. So you can see that there's a lot of breakouts, and then we're getting some selling to those breakout areas. So they would, if they hold, they would be a breakout and a retest. They hold the retest, and then they might continue higher. If not, they fail. Buyers aren't willing to buy for whatever reason, and we might get further selling down to further levels until there is a bid found at those levels. I would feel like I'm still catching a falling knife. All right, here I have some ETFs that I'm interested in. USO, again, I have this organized by change in 5 days. We'll see what closed strong basically last week in a red week. What closed green in an overall market red week. So USO oil funds. It's been up 1, 2, 3 weeks in a row. It is coming into this prior supply area. It's, found supply 1-ish, a lot of taps here. I would consider that a lot of taps. 2, 3, 4, at least 4 times. If you're not going to count each individual one of these. So the more times a level is tested, the weaker it gets, the more likely it is to break. So I'm kind of looking for a break of that eventually, because it is up 3 weeks in a row. It's a little extended, in my opinion, to actually break that. Maybe it taps it, pulls back, and consolidates around 75, 77, and then that builds the energy to actually break higher. So I would keep an eye on USO names. I don't know if it's quite ready yet. XOP, another oil and gas, downtrend line broken, came back down, retested. So this 127-ish level seems to be pretty important here, at least over the past, since over a year. undercut it back here in 23, but ever since January of 24, December of 23, January 24, this 127 level has been respected. So now you can see it just chopped in the zone, looked above this 142 level, failed, targeted opposite end, failed to go lower. So I would expect it to at least hit 142, and maybe it wants to break that, retest the 142 and go higher and test this 159. Either way, it's an overall chop, but it's a pretty, it's a solid base. Jets continues to look great. I've been watching this. I haven't done anything with it just because I'm not chasing this type of move. However, now it is chopped basically sideways for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish, 8-ish weeks. I'm not including last week because it did break out there. And I'm pretty sure it held that breakout. If not, it came super close. And it did hold this prior resistance level here around 25. So the next level of potential supply here is around 27.50. I will be looking into the Jets names for some trades this week. GDX, gold miners kind of chopping in the range. Silver looking somewhat interesting. Maybe this sets a higher low. That drawing's a little off. You can draw it there or you can drop it down a little bit because it does matter, right? This could have been the third tap if it bounced. Otherwise, it undercut it and now it's retesting it. It could just continue down further here, or I could see somebody drawing it like that. I don't know. There's nothing really confirmed. There's no 3 tags just yet. So unless you want to count that as the third and then it failed, whatever you want to do. Trend lines are subjective. IYE kind of in a chop. This was interesting to me. IHI, medical devices. Look at the volume last week. This is huge volume compared to, it hasn't had this much volume since March of 24. So about 10, 11 months. I don't know what's going on there. It does have a topping tail to it. However, it's chopping sideways. So we have a nice little uptick in volume. Something might be going on there. So keep an eye on IHI if we want to look at the daily chart here. I have this level drawn out. It's an interesting spot. Actually, let me drop that down a little bit. That 59. So you can see it broke again. It consolidated in this area here, broke it. Maybe it retests it and comes back higher. But where did it find supply? In an area where it has found supply in the past around here, let's just say, I like that. So this 60-50 level continues to be a challenge for it, but I would keep an eye on it, especially with that volume that it got kicked in there. I don't know why, but I don't really care. IYH holding potentially, it is starting to push away over the past 3 weeks. Holding this breakout and retest. It held this 58 level here before. Keep an eye on it. OHI, XRT. It is coming back to this nice consolidation. So it broke out of this consolidation, and it is now potentially holding it. So this is what retail ETF here. So it looks somewhat interesting. It does have a lot of topping tails around this 84-ish level. So until we break, I'm pretty sure that's where it found the supply this time around also. I would watch, that, but it's bouncing around. But this is real interesting. It broke out of this. Ideally, it holds and just continues its uptrend. However, if it fails that breakout, I don't know. You could probably see 70 or so at the bottom of this range. So keep an eye. SMH, not looking the best. Continues to just chop around in range. It's not downtrending. It's going sideways. It's just super volatile, especially with NVIDIA and all of the semiconductor names just chopping around, really. Another semiconductor. TAN, I think there's a lot of... I think I said something about TAN last week. I don't remember if I really did. I think I said something about a lot of volume coming into it. I might be thinking of the wrong ETF, though, but either way, I'm not super interested in it. It's still downtrending. I think it has a lot of work to do. Maybe it starts rounding the bottom here and starts chopping sideways. However, it did break this level there, and it's continuing to accept above it or below it. Sorry. So up until it gets to this 40 level and holds it, I don't know. I don't think I'd be super interested in it. PBWURA, kind of chopping around in a range. It has found support at this 27 in the past. It did break it though a couple of times. TLT trending down still. XHP, LIT. I did say LIT was looking interesting potentially as it was at its 10 and 20 EMAs here. But you can see we got to follow through to the downside. So it might need to retest again this 34th level. Maybe it comes down to 37, 36, bottoming of this tail and finds more support until it does like a little double bottom potential setup for a longer term double bottom until it turns around. IAT, KRE, interesting setup here in KRE. Regional banking. We can look at that right there. I don't know why it does that. The nice consolidation here, kind of like an ascending triangle look, and it was retesting it. So we might get follow through here, down to the downside, by the way. If it falls through, not 100% sure. Already talked about equally weighted RSP coming down maybe to tag this 170 or retest a breakout. Okay, everyone's talking about China. I don't know. I've been touching China because of what it has been looking like. So maybe long term, China's looking good, but as of right now, I'm not touching that. Not at all. China, I think, is still in I don't know, is iffy with this new administration coming up. I don't really understand all the economic stuff. I just look at the charts again. All right, let's go over the heavyweights of the S&P. So I created this list. All of these names create 56% of the NASDAQ 100. And I cut it off at 2% of the weight. And so let's go through these. What closed at its highs? Costco had a nice, interesting setup. Retesting here, this breakout zone. And it closed green on a little bit increased volume compared to the last 2 weeks of selling, the prior 2 weeks of selling. And then last week, you get a nice little uptick in volume, holding this break on retest. So Costco could be a solid play for this next week. Maybe a little bit of follow through. If we want to look at the daily, what is the daily showing us here? A little undercut of the 50. Maybe price jumps up, retests this 960 level, pulls back, and holds like a 10, 20 EMA test around 938 if it wants to work that way, and then starts curling up. So it looks interesting to me. The reason why I like to go over these is because these names are what actually move the markets because of the heavy weights. So I like to look and see what these bigger names are doing. Meta, Indecision, Doji, kind of in range, retesting that prior high. Tesla, tagging the weekly 10 EMA. Nice bottoming tails here. You can see bottoming tail here in the early December, then last week and the week prior to last week. So this like 370-ish, 375-ish level seems to be 375, let's say 380 to 375 area seems to be pretty important as there's a lot of buyers in there. So I like Tesla. I always like Tesla. I always keep an eye on Tesla. I trade it rather frequently. Google looks pretty solid. It's holding these highs here. All right, it's kind of consolidating. There is a lot of topping tails here, but it might just continue to chop around and let this 10 weekly EMA catch up. But it's not, screaming fire. Google, oh, sorry, I already went over that. Microsoft hasn't really been doing anything for freaking ever. It broke out last year here, and now it's just been kind of chopping, consolidating. It's kind of wedging on the weekly here. We'll see if it finds support here at this trend line. Maybe. Just maybe. I think it's basing. I think Microsoft has earnings coming up at some point in time. I honestly don't know when. Let's see. Does this tell me when? Oh, shoot. Hang on, sorry. Where is single stock window? Earnings date January 29th after the market closes. So that's when earnings for Microsoft is coming up. I do think it will, it'll play a role in the markets and how it moves. That's a point of this list here. Nvidia, bearish engulfing. However, it is still holding these highs, right? So maybe it just continues to chop sideways and consolidate and build a cost basis. Maybe it's distribution up here. I don't know. We don't know until something happens. Amazon kind of looks like a flag to the 10 EMA, but it's higher highs and higher lows here still. And the daily, I don't think the daily looks too bad. It's letting the 50 SMA hold up, and it's coming back and retesting this 215 level. There's a few bottoming tails here in this zone, so maybe there's some supply or some bids holding it up, and we have a nice little uptick on volume on Friday. So that's interesting to me. Avgo, same thing. A lot of people are saying Avgo is going to be a leader. Let's see, Amazon is also one for this week. So that looks interesting. Avgo, I did trade this. I had, I think I traded this. Actually, you know what? I forget. I'm pretty sure I traded it. I took a loss on it. I think I entered around here at the 10 EMA, and then on this selling day, I got tagged out. Anyways, Apple, I'm pretty sure Apple's looking solid. Yeah, it's coming back, retesting these prior highs, right? So again, going with the theme of breakout and retest. And then Netflix, that's been pretty strong on the weekly. It looks strong. Let's go back to the weekly here. Look at how strong it is. Are you shocked? It went from 690 to almost 940 in a few 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, 2 months. This is pretty extended. It needs to kind of pull back, build another base, and in order to continue higher. It's what a healthy market does. So strong move, pulling back. Does it pull all the way back to $700? I don't know. That would be unfortunate because that's a pretty huge move to give all the way back. It might bounce in and then it could start downtrending. That's pretty big to give back. I did the same thing for S&P 500. It's a lot of the same names, except there's a few different ones. So there is Berkshire Hathaway. Again, retesting this 440 level. Then we had, excuse me, JPM, kind of consolidating, holding the 10 weekly MA. It does kind of look like a bear flag to me. If we get continued further selling, you can see it retesting this 224. LLY, Eli Lilly, kind of chopping sideways, consolidating, undercut this 750 low here, failed to move lower, and now it's kind of basing. Let me show you what I'm looking at. Undercut that level, failed to move lower, and now it hit this prior supply of 850, pull back, and now it's potentially setting a higher low. So actually, Eli Lilly looks pretty interesting to me. It is below a declining 50. This is technically a death cross here. I don't trade those types of things. I mostly look at price action. So maybe it wants to pull back up. It's at 200 SMA that was acting as prior supply there. Maybe it wants to go test that again, pull back around 800, and then that sets a higher low versus these. I don't know. Just kind of thinking of a plan potentially. And then Visa was the last one. Nice gap here. Pretty sure this was on earnings. Held it, kind of like a rounding distribution. Now we're just getting a retest of this gap level of 302. Maybe it continues on down. Maybe it wants to go down and close that gap. But looking at the weekly, large, I don't know. Maybe it wants to sell off to 299, $300. I wonder where that is on the gap level wise. 300, 299. Yeah, that's somewhere in the middle of the gap. And so I would be looking at, I'd be watching Visa to see what it does. Maybe it's just base building. Maybe it's distributing. I don't know. Hindsight is always 2020. All right. That's overall market type of look. Overall, a lot of breakout and retests. I think this is probably a stock pickers market. I don't know what to expect. I'm not going to call anything. I don't do that anyways. Last week I said I was looking for further upside. I was obviously wrong. And I need to, I'm going to be switching to I might be a little late on this, but to most people. But my strategies aren't working. My trend strategies aren't working. So if I take a trade, I'm going to be getting in, and then I will be getting out. I'll take my money and I will run. I'm not looking to hold trades right now because the market is in decision mode. It is either building a base to continue higher, or it is distributing and might start a further downtrend pullback. I don't know. I won't be going heavy. I might have, I'll probably start building a short list. But overall, it's in decision mode. I'll be in and out, get my money and go. Try not to overtrade, trade less, really. Be super picky about it. All right, hopefully this is helpful. Thanks for your time. Like this, share, like, all the good stuff. Thanks for your time. Stay safe, manage your risk.